Amina was born in a small village in central Nigeria. From a young age, she had a fierce ambition to see the world beyond her village. Her parents were traders, and she often accompanied them on trips to nearby towns, observing their interactions and learning the art of negotiation. By the time she was a teenager, Amina was already adept at bargaining and had developed a keen sense for business. At 18, Amina decided to leave her village to seek her fortune in the larger towns. She began trading textiles, a skill she had learned from her parents. Her beauty and charm helped her make connections easily, and soon she had a network of clients and suppliers. In Kano, Amina met Idris, a successful merchant. He was smitten by her intelligence and grace. They married within 6 months, and Amina moved in with him. She continued her trading business, often traveling for weeks at a time, which Idris accepted as part of her entrepreneurial spirit. While on a business trip to Kaduna, Amina met Musa, a gentle and kind-hearted farmer. Their affair quickly blossomed into love, and Amina decided to marry him as well. She managed to keep her marriage to Idris a secret, convincing Musa that her frequent absences were due to her trading commitments. Amina juggled her dual lives with remarkable skill. She maintained regular communication with both Idris and Musa, ensuring neither suspected her double life. Her trading business served as the perfect cover for her frequent travels. During a visit to Jos, Amina encountered Samuel, a charismatic and wealthy cocoa trader. Samuel was captivated by Amina's entrepreneurial spirit and proposed within months. Amina accepted, adding another layer to her complex life. Amina discovered she was pregnant with Idris' child. She ceased her travels to avoid suspicion, claiming to be busy expanding her business in Kano. She gave birth to a son, Usman, and left him in Idris's care, resuming her travels shortly after. Amina's business flourished, and she continued her pattern of marrying influential men in different towns. In each place, she maintained a facade of a devoted wife, carefully managing her time and resources to keep her secret life concealed. Amina had a daughter, Fatima, with Musa. Again, she stayed with him during the pregnancy, claiming business commitments when she needed to be away. Fatima stayed with Musa after her birth, allowing Amina to continue her complex double life. Amina's relationships with her husbands were sustained through her constant travels and meticulous planning. Each husband believed they were her only spouse, and Amina's charm and business acumen ensured their unwavering trust. In Maiduguri, Amina met John, an influential politician. John was attracted to Amina's confidence and strategic mind. Their marriage added another layer to her elaborate lie, but Amina was undeterred. Amina had another son, Abraham. With Samuel, she followed her established pattern, staying in Jos during the pregnancy and leaving the child with Samuel afterward. Her visits to her husbands became less frequent, but she maintained constant communication. Amina's fifth husband was Abbas, a successful lawyer in Yola. Amina's allure and intelligence won him over, and they married quickly. By now, Amina's web of deceit was a finely tuned machine. Amina's children grew up in different towns, each believing their mother was a successful and frequently traveling businesswoman. She ensured each child received her attention and care, balancing her time between her many responsibilities. As the children grew older, managing her multiple lives became increasingly challenging. Questions began to arise, and Amina had to devise ever more complex stories to keep her husbands and children unaware of her true situation. Amina found herself enjoying the thrill of her deception. The constant balancing act and the need for meticulous planning gave her life an edge that she relished. She was living a life of adventure, even if it was built on lies. As her children entered their teenage years, they began to notice the inconsistencies in Amina's stories. Her husbands also started to question her frequent absences and vague explanations. Amina had to work harder to maintain her elaborate lie. During a visit to John in Maiduguri, Amina ran into one of Idris' colleagues. She managed to avoid detection, but the close call made her realize how precarious her situation was becoming. She resolved to be even more careful. Despite the constant danger of discovery, Amina's business continued to thrive. She began to think about her legacy and how to ensure her children would be provided for, even if her secret were ever uncovered. Amina had another daughter, Zara, with John. By now, her husbands were growing increasingly suspicious, and Amina had to work harder to maintain her stories and keep up appearances. As Amina's children grew older, they began to pursue their own interests and careers. This brought new challenges, as they demanded more of her time and attention. Amina had to find new ways to balance her multiple lives. One day, Amina's eldest son, Usman, stumbled upon letters from his mother to her other husbands. He was shocked and confused, but he kept the discovery to himself, unsure of how to confront his mother. Despite her many deceptions, Amina genuinely loved her children. She did her best to be there for them, supporting their ambitions and guiding them through life's challenges. Her love for them was the one constant in her complex life. Amina had another son, Abubakar, with Abbas. As with her previous children, she stayed with Abbas during the pregnancy and left the child in his care afterward. Her husband's suspicions grew, but none could prove anything conclusively. Amina's health began to deteriorate under the constant stress of her double life. She found it harder to keep up with her demanding schedule, and the strain began to show. Her children noticed, and their concern grew. Usman finally confronted Amina about the letters he had found. Amina was devastated but managed to convince him that there was a reasonable explanation. Usman remained skeptical but agreed to keep her secret for now. During an argument with one of her husbands, Amina accidentally mentioned something that only another husband would know. The slip was minor, but it planted a seed of doubt that began to grow. As her health continued to decline, Amina found it harder to keep her story straight. Her husband's suspicions grew, and they began to compare notes. The web of lies she had so carefully constructed started to unravel. Amina involved in a fatal car accident on her way back from a trading trip. Her death was sudden and unexpected. The news of her death spread quickly, and the authorities, unsure of her identity, released her photo on television, seeking information. All 5 husbands and 8 children gathered in Kano, each claiming Amina as their own. The tension was palpable as they confronted each other, each demanding answers and seeking to understand how Amina had deceived them for so long. The government official handling Amina's case discovered her multiple marriages and children. The news was broadcast on television, and her husbands and children were stunned as they each saw the broadcast and began to piece together the truth. Through painful conversations and shared stories, the full extent of Amina's deception became clear. Her husbands and children were devastated, but also in awe of how she had managed to live such an extraordinary life. The shock turned to anger, but then to a somber respect for the woman who had managed to lead such a complex existence. Despite the hurt and betrayal, Amina's family mourned her deeply. They arranged a funeral that all her husbands and children attended, sharing stories and memories. The grief was mingled with confusion and anger, but there was also a sense of unity in their loss. As the family began to go through Amina's belongings, they found letters, journals, and mementos from her travels and relationships. Each piece offered a glimpse into her intricate life and the love she had for each family member. Usman, the eldest son, took it upon himself to bring some order to the chaos. He organized meetings with his half-siblings and their fathers, working to build a relationship and understanding among them. It wasn't easy, but he was determined to honor his mother's memory by keeping the family together.